Maine is one of the most beautiful states in America, but have you ever noticed how eerily empty it feels? Vast forests, endless coastlines, charming towns, and yet hardly anyone lives there. It almost feels like the state is hiding a secret, something powerful enough to drive people away. Today, we're uncovering the 8 biggest reasons why nobody lives in Maine, and some of them might shock you. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive in. One of the biggest reasons so few people live in Maine is that the population is literally shrinking from within. Maine has one of the oldest populations in the entire country, with a median age of about 45, nearly a decade older than the U.S. average. Fewer babies are being born, and in many years, deaths have actually outnumbered births. This natural population decline means that every year, Maine has fewer young families and fewer children entering the school system. Over time, that creates a domino effect. Schools close, local businesses lose customers, and small towns get quieter and quieter. When you combine that with the fact that younger residents often leave to find jobs or opportunities elsewhere, you end up with a state that's slowly graying, with fewer and fewer people to sustain the communities that make it feel alive. Maine has what's often called a brain drain problem. Many of its young adults leave after high school or college, heading for bigger cities like Boston or New York, where jobs, higher salaries, and nightlife are far more abundant. A report from the University of Maine showed that the state loses thousands of people between ages 18 and 34 every year. Think about it. If you're 22, fresh out of college, and trying to start a career in technology, media, or finance, Maine doesn't have nearly the same opportunities as urban hubs. And once those young people leave, they often don't come back. That cycle makes it harder for Maine to build a strong workforce, launch new businesses, or even keep enough young families around to maintain a balanced community. Without younger generations sticking around, the population keeps aging and shrinking. Let's be honest, Maine winters aren't for everyone. The state gets absolutely buried in snow, often averaging more than 60 inches a year in some areas. Temperatures regularly drop into the single digits, and icy roads make commuting a headache. For people who grew up in warmer states or who dream of mild winters, the thought of months of shoveling, high heating bills, and limited sunshine can be a major turnoff. On top of that, Maine's climate makes it a tough place for farming and year-round outdoor activities. It's great if you love skiing, but not so great if you hate bundling up half the year. Climate alone doesn't make people pack their bags, but when combined with economic challenges and limited opportunities, Maine's long, frigid winters definitely don't help convince newcomers to settle down permanently. One of Maine's biggest struggles is its economy. Unlike states with booming tech industries or diverse job markets, Maine's economy is heavily dependent on tourism, fishing, and seasonal industries. That creates a lot of jobs during the summer, when tourists flock to places like Bar Harbor or Portland. But during the off-season, opportunities can dry up. The average annual wage in Maine is consistently lower than the national average. In 2022, it was around $58,000 compared to the U.S. average of over $70,000. For ambitious young professionals, that wage gap can be a deal-breaker. And while remote work is changing the game, internet access in rural areas can still be spotty. Without strong year-round employment options, many people choose to move elsewhere, where jobs are more plentiful and wages are higher. By now, you've seen how Maine's aging population, brutal winters, and struggling economy are all part of the story. But I want to know what you think. Could you see yourself living in a place like this, or would these challenges push you away too? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're there, tell me what state, city, or country you'd like me to cover next. I read every suggestion and love turning your ideas into future videos. And don't forget, a quick like and subscribe helps this channel keep exploring stories just like this one. Maine is huge geographically, larger than the rest of New England combined, but it has fewer than 1.4 million residents. That means much of the state is rural, quiet, and spread out. While some people love that peace and space, others find it isolating. It's not unusual for small towns to be miles apart, with limited public transportation and long drives just to reach the nearest grocery store or hospital. This rural setup can make it difficult for families who rely on quick access to schools, medical care, or job centers. For younger people especially, the lack of social opportunities, entertainment options, and urban conveniences can feel stifling. So while Maine's isolation is part of its charm, it's also one of the big reasons many people decide not to live there long term. This one surprises a lot of people. Maine isn't as cheap as you'd think. Housing in popular areas like Portland has skyrocketed in recent years, driven up by out-of-state buyers and retirees looking for second homes. The median home price in Maine hit over $370,000 in 2023, not outrageous compared to California, but still high when you consider that wages in Maine are below the national average. Add to that heating costs during those brutal winters, higher food prices due to shipping challenges, and limited public transportation, forcing many households to own multiple cars. Suddenly, the affordable rural life image starts to fade. Many residents find themselves spending a bigger portion of their income just to cover basic needs, which makes staying in Maine less attractive when compared to states with higher wages and lower heating bills. Healthcare is another challenge in Maine, especially in its rural areas. While Portland and Bangor have solid medical facilities, many smaller towns are far from major hospitals. That can mean driving hours for specialized care or waiting months to see a provider. The state also struggles with a shortage of healthcare workers, which only worsens the problem. Maine has one of the oldest populations in the U.S., and with an aging population comes a higher demand for medical care. But without enough providers or easy access, seniors and families often feel like they're at a disadvantage. For younger families considering moving to Maine, this lack of healthcare infrastructure can be a serious deterrent. After all, access to doctors, specialists, and reliable hospitals is one of the key things people look for when choosing a place to live long-term. Finally, Maine's economy is very seasonal. Tourism is a lifeline here, with millions visiting in the summer and fall to experience Acadia National Park, lobster shacks, and stunning foliage. But when the tourists leave, so do many of the jobs. Businesses close for the winter, workers are laid off, and whole towns feel like ghost towns until the next wave of visitors. While tourism dollars are great for the state, they don't provide the kind of stable, year-round employment that families and young professionals need. That seasonal boom and bust cycle makes Maine risky for anyone who isn't retired or independently wealthy. For many people, the reality of relying on seasonal work just doesn't match the dream of year-round stability. We've just walked through 8 of the best cities in Iowa, where Black families can plant roots, thrive, and create a future filled with opportunity. Each city has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat, and it's up to you to decide which one matches your vision for the life you want to build. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see yourself moving, or which city surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, if you found this video helpful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next journey we take together. Your next chapter might just begin with a single click.